What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 276 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, even though they don't give us credentials, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Deej in studio. How it's going to be on a ton of our programs over the next week and a half or so. We're in studio. We are going to be in Philly for the College Lacrosse Championship. We'll be there all 3 days. We'll be in the stadium on Sunday and Monday. So if you're going to be there, come say what's up. But we're going to dive into Final Four preview for college. We're going to get into the NLL Finals. We're going to get into PLL as we are entering training camp. It's crazy to think PLL is here. Paul Rabel and Mike Rabel ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, and a whole lot of things have come out from the PLL, and we're going to dive into all of that. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTBLaxPod, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you see us this weekend, you are obligated, mutually, obviously, consent given. Give us your phone. We're subscribing to the podcast for you if you aren't already. So
obligated.
Obload. It's happening. We don't
I'm
care.
Here, so it means I will make you.
Means business.
I will make you.
Subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Spotify. Leave a 5-star review. Give us your NLL Finals predictions in the podcast reviews, your Final Four predictions in the podcast reviews. It really does go a long way for helping this show continue to grow, lets us do more cool stuff that we are looking forward to doing, and makes it that much easier to pull off. So go subscribe to the pod feed on Apple and Spotify, and subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. We are currently at 506 subscribers. We hit the 500 mark 6 days before our goal, so shout out to everybody who popped out and subscribed. But that doesn't mean stop subscribing. We're on the road to 600. Our goal, hopefully, if we run into enough of you by the end of this weekend, is to get to 600 subscribers. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. I'm going to say it right now. At least on Saturday night, there will be an OTB cast live from the studio for NLL Finals Game 1 right in the studio. So tune in for that. Come through. Be a friend. Tell a friend that we will be live for the NLL Finals Game 1 on Saturday night. And go subscribe to the YouTube. Smash the like button. Ring the bell icon. Comment anything that comes to mind down below in the comment section. And be a friend. Tell a friend to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And go get your merch. phiapparel.co is the place to get it, and they are the exclusive home to Outside the Box podcast merch and all merch from Underground Sports Philadelphia. And if you're in Philadelphia, you're going to love them as well, because they provide unique designs and high-quality clothing for the great fans of Philadelphia with their original designs for all. There's no doubt you'll stand out in the crowd. Go get your OTB hoodies. I'm ordering one, so I have it for the road. I'm not missing out on seeing you put on a hoodie when we're out, like going to get food at 10 o'clock at night, and it's like, damn, I forgot a hoodie again. Because we go to some places, and it's like, it gets to 40 degrees at night, and it's just like, it's July. What are we doing? Get your act together, Mother Nature.
That's what happens when you grow up in the Midwest, bro. We are ready for anything when it comes to weather. Anything.
So I'll be getting my OTB hoodie. I have my OTB shirt that I'll be wearing this weekend, so you'll know exactly who you're seeing, because I'll have my OTB shirt on, and you can get yours. And our listeners can use promo code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any apparel when you shop online at phiapparel.co. That's phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your order. As we always do when you're in studio, Deej, 1, what the hell's going on? 2, how was the flight?
Crazy enough, y'all, you know,
Shout out to Colin Squires.
right? Colin, this is you're gonna chastise me the next time you see me.
So in a week,
right? Because as you know, my saying for Spirit Airlines is fly Spirit and you'll turn into one. I'm here to say that's false. Maybe because they bought JetBlue, it's like a lot better now or whatever.
JetBlue acquired Spirit.
JetBlue bought Spirit, so maybe it's better because of that now. I'm not sure because this is the first time I ever flown Spirit. This was one of the best takeoff and landings I've ever had. Very smooth ride. A lot of babies. Really full flight. And everything costed money. So that was like the downside. Like I couldn't even get some water. I'm like, y'all tripping. I can't get free water. Like everybody's got free water. Like y'all down bad. Y'all charging for water.
That's crazy.
Yeah, literally. But like the flight overall was fine. But other than that, I mean, I'm living good. We had our last week of practice this week. I did double XL producing again this week, so that was awesome. And I mean, I'm back here, so like I can't be upset. We retained our trophy over the girls team from this year as well. So every year back home, the high school team I coach, we play against the girls at the end of the year. We start using our own sticks for like 15, 20 minutes. Very serious. Like that's the one that's for the marbles. Like whoever's leading after those 15 minutes wins the trophy. And then after that, we're like switching sticks and like mixing teams up and stuff. So it's just a lot of fun, a good way to end the season before like banquet and all that. And guys are graduating. So
as we go on.
That's another thing. Most of you, this does not matter to you. Kalamazoo Public Schools, I am so upset at you. For the longest of times, you've done graduation the first full week of June. And this year, you decided to do them June 1st and 2nd. Not only am I missing all of my seniors for Lacrosse's graduation, I'm missing my Kappa League graduation, and I'm missing my little sister's graduation. All in this 1 week because y'all are doing things differently.
Terrible.
So
That's just terrible.
I'm going to have to cough up at these grad parties because I missed graduation. Like,
you're going to have the 1.5X.
Yeah, man, like I'm going to be broke messing around with Kalamazoo Public Schools. But, hey, I'm here for 10 days. I figured out how to finesse my job and let me work remotely, so I'm not even using PTO right now.
That's what we call living. Livin.
Living. So I'm at the top. I'm on the top of the moon, and I'm excited for these college weekend. Like this is the first time I'll be at championship weekend in my life. So
same.
And I mean, this just makes me think back to my first championship weekend that I like watched. I was watching on TV in Kalamazoo, but it was the year North Carolina and Maryland.
Was it 16?
Yeah, North Carolina and Maryland played. Kyle Bernlohr had the crazy save. Chris Cloutier won it in the finals or in overtime. So like that was a crazy weekend. That was the first one I watched. This will be the first one in person, and it's gonna be just as crazy.
And we got kick-ass seats.
We do. We have
no
awesome
free
seats.
shout-outs.
No,
we got awesome seats.
Man,
We're like for me too. I get the added experience because it's at the link, and I, being a diehard Eagles fan that I am, the fact that I'm going to be 4 rows and 7 rows off the field in the end zone area at the link is just mind-boggling to me, and I'm going to be geeking out extra hard because of that. So I'm stoked that like we were able to get such good tickets for a cheap ass price. And we're going to be there on Sunday all day. We'll be there Monday all day. And Saturday, we're going to be having fun in the lots. Man on the street content, hanging out with the people, good vibes, good times. So if you're going to be in Philly, hit us up. Let us know. We'd love to catch up with everybody. But before we get into everything going on in Philly, we got to get into the NLL. Deej, it is the NLL Finals. We're running it back turbo, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at Loading Lacrosse, who have been powering our NLL Finals and NLL postseason this year. Who doesn't love supporting the athletes who play their sport? Loading Lacrosse, it's Tyrell Hammer Jackson, our boy Chase Fraser, Mitch Jones, Keegan Ball, Chase obviously playing in these NLL finals, so that's awesome as well. Who doesn't love supporting a small local business started by people who are doing it at the professional level? They also offer training sessions and camps with Tyrell Hammer Jackson and Adam Charlambides as well. They've got awesome merch. They've got Chase Frazier's whole merch, or his whole line of pro stock, and they have pro stock for all four of those guys that I mentioned. They've got awesome shirts too. The Chase Frazier cowboy shirt is incredible. Keep hot dogs $1.50. Like, come on. Unbelievable. They're doing it big time, and we want to help put them on the map, and you guys should too. Go to loadinglax.com. Check out everything they have to offer. We mentioned it when they first hopped on with us too, like to be able to get the Fraser bundle, which comes with a shirt, mesh, string, Chase's shaft and everything for $165. That's a bargain. Can't beat that. They also have they just dropped Tyrell's pro handle as well on the website. They have Mitch Jones's head, and it's strung the way that Mitch has it. So go check out everything they have at loadinglax.com. Go support the pros who are doing it the way that it should be. Plus, Chase, Mitch, they're the boys. They've been on the show. Support friends of the pod.
I think I might get a Chase bundle.
I might have to.
I've been looking for a new shorty. I'm getting into some box soon back home. And my shorty got yanked at a tournament last year, actually. So, coaches, summer coaches out there, even though you're a coach, watch your stick. It will get yanked just like anyone else's. That was really upsetting because it was one of our like hosted tournaments that we did as a Bandits crew. So I was really upset because I'm like, it was like by our like tent that like we sold sticks out of and everything. So like, I was like, dang, like
that's tough.
I think somebody like within the program took it really, and I've just been waiting to see it because like I know exactly what it looks like. It has no shooters on it, like anything. I could point it out from 50 yards away. Like that's my stick.
That's crazy.
I can't wait to see it. I'll snatch it right out of a kid's hand. Give me my stick, dude.
Yoink.
Go get a new one. What's wrong with you? Did your parents teach you not to take things
Stop
out of
it.
Well, actually,
Get some
now that
help.
I think about it, probably not.
Clearly not.
Clearly. Because look at what's in your hand right now. Mine.
Mine. Well, we've got the NLL Finals, our preview brought to you by Loading Lacrosse, and we're running it back turbo 2 years in a row. It's the Bandits. It's the Colorado Mammoth. 3 years straight that it is the Buffalo Bandits. And we put this out on the socials as well because I was like, just going through my head, I was like, this seems way too weird that, nobody's like truly talking about this at a full-fledged level because everybody focuses around the entire crew that is the Buffalo Bandits and everything that they've been through. But since 2020, Zed Williams and or Dylan Ward have faced off against Josh Byrne and Dane Smith for a pro lacrosse championship. 2020 PLL Champ Series in the bubble, it was Josh, Dane, and on the bench was backup goalie Dylan Ward for Chaos going up against Zed Williams. Zed obviously comes out on top there with the Whip Snakes. 2021, the PLL Championship. Josh and Dane get over the hump against Zed when Chaos beat Whip Snakes in the championship. 2022 NLL Finals, obviously, Colorado Mammoth come out on top there, so Dylan and Zed go and get theirs. The PLL Championship in 2022, Dylan Ward gets his over Josh and Dane again. And now we get the 2023 NLL Finals, where it's Zed and Dylan Ward versus Josh and Dane once again. That's an unreal streak, no matter what sport it is, to have 5 straight championships of those 4 guys, of any combined amount of players going head-to-head for a title is wild.
I mean, it almost happened in the NBA a few years ago with LeBron and Steph and all those guys. It might actually have.
What was it? It was
maybe not, because 15. Who went in 15?
Let's see. NBA Finals.
But in the meantime, great year by Calgary. I mean, fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Year.
Like
they looked great all year. I was really pumped about it. They're my favorite team in the NLL.
Hey-oh, breaking news.
They're my
off
favorite
the
team
rip.
in the NLL. Yeah. That's why I have like not said anything on Twitter about like them losing, because like I'm upset.
It was
I'm
4
mad.
straight for Golden State and Cleveland.
Yeah, but
It
I couldn't
was,
remember if
15, 16, 17, 18.
I couldn't remember if like LeBron. That was the year before that LeBron was like somewhere else.
Oh,
and
right,
played
yeah.
them and then went back.
Because 14, it was Spurs beat the Heat.
Yeah.
And then
then he left, but then I don't think 15 was one of the weird years.
15 was Golden State Cleveland first time when the
Okay.
Warriors won their first.
And then
it was from 15 to 18, it was Warriors versus
it
Cleveland.
was 19 because
19 was Warriors Raptors when it should have been the Sixers.
Hey, that was a tough shot.
Magnetic rims, baby.
That was a tough shot. That was tough.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
But yeah, I haven't said anything because I've been pretty upset about it. Like, they had everything they needed this year, and they just couldn't get it done. I don't know what the hump is with Colorado, but
Which is weird because before last year, Calgary had Colorado's number.
yeah,
Like, all the time.
yeah.
And then whenever the playoffs have rolled around now, it's just been Colorado has found a new gear, been finding a way. And a lot of that is credit to Dylan Ward. He's been unbelievable in this postseason. Like, to be able to hold that Calgary team in Game 1 to 7 goals.
And then again in Game 3.
And then again in Game 3 to 7 goals is beyond impressive. Beyond impressive. The offense has done just enough. Will Colorado's offense have enough to go toe-to-toe with Buffalo? That remains to be seen. But the 2 times that Colorado has gotten to the NLL Finals, they've won both times. And who was it against? The Buffalo Bandits. So I don't know if that's another thing where it's like, is Colorado the Bandits' kryptonite in the NLL Finals? Remains to be seen. Plus, during the regular season, if I'm not mistaken, Colorado beat Buffalo in Buffalo.
My brain just exploded in my head because I think this weekend, I think we see 2 teams play for a championship against a team that they've lost to twice and win. If you are smart enough to figure out who I am talking about as lacrosse fans, I'm very proud of you because it's really not too hard. Maybe you might even know.
It's Duke, Virginia, right?
Ooh, close. I think that plays as well, but that's not who I'm thinking of.
Is Virginia one of them?
No.
So it's Notre Dame and Duke?
Notre Dame over Duke. They lost twice while Perk was there. Or no, once while Perk was there and once while Matt Cap was there. To Duke. One of them was the year CJ Costabile had the game winner in the national championship in overtime, right off the face. I think both Buffalo and Notre Dame win championships this weekend.
The latter would be disgusting.
It honestly,
no offense to.
I mean, I know how you feel, but like Notre Dame lacrosse is like the one place I break that barrier. Like, I just don't care. Notre Dame lacrosse is, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there.
I don't break that barrier with that one team that wears scarlet. Even though I am really excited to go to their stadium this year.
When we get their coach on the pod.
Yes. So I can ask him about Conroy. Connery. So, how do you feel about Coach Connery and the Wolverines? Which I can't wait to dive into that later.
Good grief. But yeah, like you said, shout out to Calgary. Like, one hell of a season. They were underestimated, I think, going into the year by everybody. Nobody thought that they would have gotten to this point, I think, except the guys in that locker room. I'm going to pull up our predictions and see where we had
I might have
Calgary finishing this year. If I can find when we did our... Here we go. Predictions. Calgary is... Oh, that's the East. It would help if I went to the West. Colorado, we both had 13-5. We were very wrong there, but they're in the championship, so
Fair
shout
enough.
out to them.
Fair enough.
Shout out to them. The Calgary Roughnecks. Yeah, you had them at 10-8. I had them at 7-11. Shout out to them.
Where'd they go this year?
13-5, a new franchise record for wins. Shout out to them. I'm just going to say they used us as bulletin board material.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah, totally cool with that. And I think I came close to nailing the team MVP. It's Jesse King. He had a hell of a year. Obviously, Christian Del Bianco was that dude this year, but
That dude.
I also nailed their postseason MVP of Tanner Cook, who I still cannot believe is a free agent in the PLL.
Hey, maybe somebody will sign him.
Cough, cough, cannons.
They got a lot of money.
But yeah, kudos to them. They had a hell of a season, and I'm excited to see just, the progression. Hopefully, they just build off of this and they keep it pushing. I think they have the right pieces in place. They have one hell of a head coach who won Coach of the Year, which we'll get into the awards and everything that have been announced recently. But they proved a lot of people wrong, and that's what's impressive about them is they defied the odds and they went out there and were one game away from getting back to the NLL Finals without the pomp and circumstance and the superstar power that they had the last time they got there. So shout out to Calgary. But now we've got a repeat of the NLL Finals, Buffalo and Colorado. Dylan Ward versus Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Zed Williams against Matt Vince. These two teams are playing extremely well right now. Buffalo's offense is hitting nuclear types of levels. Colorado's defense has been unreal. Warren Jeffrey scoring goals. And this is probably even more an unpredictable NLL Finals than last year was. Just the two styles that these two teams are playing right now makes it so difficult to read how this series could go.
Yeah, because if one team is having a good day, the other one has to be having a bad day because of how they're playing. So it's all just about who shows up and right from the beginning. So it's very tough to say. I obviously have kind of already voiced my opinion on the matter. But at the same time, like you mentioned, the defense of Colorado has been the scary part, really. You know what you're getting with Dylan Ward.
Mm-hmm.
And for their defense to be playing as consistently as they are is scary because their offense is inconsistent. But when they can hold you to 7 or less, most offenses can go out and score 8.
Yeah,
we see that across the league consistently. Even some of the worst offenses were putting up 8 from time to time this year. So, you're asking, an offense that has Zed Williams, Eli McLaughlin, and
Ryan Lee,
the list of others.
And that's the thing this year, too.
8.
Last year in the NLL Finals, Ryan Lee was injured. Zed was playing banged up. I think he was questionable for Game 3 last year.
But Connor Robinson.
C-Rob went off. And Warren Jeffrey was injured. So they didn't even have Warren Jeffrey, which helps, when you're playing against this high-powered offense of the Buffalo Bandits. So, this is a kind of different iteration of the Colorado Mammoth, even though they were a wild card team this year, that Buffalo truly didn't get an opportunity to go toe-to-toe with last year. And I don't know if that benefits them or it's a negative. And the wild part is goals per game this year, Colorado scored 10 goals per game. Buffalo scored 11 goals per game. And we talked about that a ton where even though Buffalo went 14-4, they played in so many one-goal games this year that it was tough to kind of get a true read on what type of team they are. And then you look at the goals against per game, Colorado gave up 11, Buffalo gave up 10. You have two top-tier goalies in this matchup with Matt Vince and Dylan Ward. There's going to be so many, and I think the crazy part is too, and I think Adam Levy brought this up on Twitter, Colorado's been able to move the ball the way they are without their number one transition player. Joey Capito's been out injured for most of this season, and they're still playing well in transition, still moving the ball extremely well. That's a testament to just the team dynamic that this Mammoth squad has.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the way things line up here. It's kind of crazy. Buffalo has given up 191 goals all year. Colorado has scored 190. Colorado's given up 208. Buffalo scored 215. You look at the goals per game for Buffalo, it's 11. Goals per game for Colorado is 10. Colorado's giving up 11. Buffalo's giving up 10.
It's very balancing the scale.
It's so weird. Like, how does that play out that way? And I think it's just going to come down to pure grit. Like, who's going to show up, who wants it, who's going to play hard, because outside of that, like, there's no way to look at it on paper and know 100% what's going to happen. Like, we are kind of able to look at the every other series and kind of look on paper and spell it out. This one is a jumbled mess that you just have to see.
Yeah, and I mean, during the regular season this year when they played in the rematch in March, Colorado won 13-8. And in the last 3 matchups between Colorado and Buffalo, the Bandits have scored at most 8 goals in one game. So Dylan Ward has kind of like had his way with this offense for whatever reason. He's just been able to, and I don't know if that's just familiarity of seeing them so much throughout a calendar year, both in the NLL and the PLL, but he has found a way to kind of, get reads on these guys and figure out ways to make unbelievable saves like he does against anybody. For them to be in this position, I think is super impressive. They've kind of been an underdog this year, kind of just battling. There's been moments where we were like, this is not the same Colorado team, and then they prove us wrong and go out and win 2 or 3 in a row, and then they drop 2 or 3 in a row, and it's just been this Jekyll and Hyde. But it seems like something has clicked now that the postseason is here, and they are just, on a mission again to repeat. And the last time Buffalo won a championship was in 2008. They're trying to get over this hump of getting to the NLL Finals back in 2016, 2019, and, of course, last year without winning. That weighs heavy on you, and, you add on the fact that Josh, Dane, Ian, Chase, Chris, and the rest of these boys, Max Adler, lost the PLL championship to Dylan Ward. And we know how much that, pained those guys. And when, that has to weigh heavy on you in terms of just, thinking at night, why the hell can we not get over the hump of Dylan Ward?
I think it's going to happen this year. I think they were almost sitting back watching Game 3. I pray that Colorado makes it out of this. After a while, you start to want to play a team that you can't get past because you're I have to do this. It's going to bother me more to not ever beat them, or bother me more that I can't get over this hump than to play someone else and win. They want to win, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They want the championship. They would enjoy the championship whether it was against Dylan Ward or not. But to finally beat Dylan Ward would make the championship so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of just where they are. That's the mindset they're going into this with, is we want to win, but we want to beat Dylan Ward more than we want to win.
Yeah, I think it's just added incentive, and I think for Dylan and for Zed, it's we want to keep these bragging rights. We want to keep, saying, hey, we have your number. Come and take it from us. I think that's the mindset that this Mammoth team has, is you want to win. You went 14-4 this season. Come and take this championship away from us. And I think that's going to be the mindset for them. It is going to be interesting this year, though, as compared to last season's NLL Finals, where it was one game every week. You had that rest. This year, game is on Saturday. Second game is on Sunday. You have 1 day for travel, playing in the altitude on Monday. We'll see how much that affects the guys, too, with just 1 day of travel and not having the typical turnaround time rest, especially in a championship format. And then if it does go to a Game 3, it obviously extends to the 3rd of June, which is PLL opening weekend. So then those guys would miss at least week 1 of the PLL season, which I think was going to happen regardless, even with just games 1 and 2, because that would get done Monday. You got to give them a little time to rest and recover from 2 straight games, the travel from Buffalo to Colorado and back and everything like that. So I'm kind of thinking that we're not going to see any of the Mammoth and Bandits guys until at least week 2 of the PLL to begin with. I could be wrong. It could depend on a situation-by-situation case for these guys. But it is a lot of guys. It's Tim Edwards, Warren Jeffrey, Zed Williams, Dylan Ward for the Mammoth, and then it's obviously the chaotic Bandit boys across the board there. This series is going to be unbelievable in my opinion. I'm super excited. Bandit Land's going to be crazy. The Loud House is going to be bonkos. Two of the best fan bases in the NLL. These games are going to sell out. They're on ESPN. I love that it kind of coincides with college championship weekend too, where college games going on in the afternoon, and then at night you've got championship level box lacrosse going on, which is going to be, I think that needs to be the mainstay, especially from an ESPN standpoint, being the centralized hub now for everything lacrosse pretty much. Make it so that you have the early college Final Four, NLL Finals happens, NLL Finals Game 2 on Memorial Day, just like the college championship. You have championships across the board flowing for you on a major holiday where most people are at home or somewhere where a TV is on, and then that flows right into the following weekend to kick off the PLL season. It's genius.
It is. There's no way to beat it, and I'm sure we aren't the only ones that have brought up this point. So, and if we are, it will get brought up because we know people listen.
Exactly.
So there's that much.
And I think it's beneficial too, because we talked about this with a number of people last year where it was just so painful that it was a week by week thing. You're missing out on guys who just won a championship for Chaos, missing out on a quarter of the season last year simply because, they're recovering from playing in another championship game, and you're not getting to tout your championship roster for the first month and a half of the season. So that was a bit of a bummer. So I like this restructure that we've had for the NLL playoffs. I think that's smart by them. The more that Commissioner Brett Frood does to work with Paul and Mike in the PLL, the better off the entire collective of the professional level of the sport is going to be. So I do, as much as it's probably going to suck for just the bodies of the players, with these kind of near back-to-back situations, I think in the long run, it's going to benefit these guys.
Yeah, there's no way it doesn't. I mean, it benefits them and us and just everyone. And there's no reason to stretch it out that far. Like, I get maybe even moving this to Friday night, which I would kind of like, because there's nothing going on really lacrosse related Friday night. Put it on Friday night, and then we get the D1 semis on Saturday, D2, D3 finals on Sunday, D1 D1 semis and game one. D1 semis on Saturday, D2, D3 on Sunday, and then you still have both all three championships on D1, Monday. Both D1, and then game 2 of the NLL Finals, and that gives you 2 days to travel instead of just one.
I do think that would work out a lot better, and I don't know if it was one of those things, especially now with who's involved, because the Colorado Mammoth are in it, the Denver Nuggets are in the NBA Finals, obviously working around that with a shared arena.
But then I think you bite the bullet and send game 1 in Buffalo.
Game 1 is in Buffalo, yeah.
So
but I'm saying I think part of this year in particular, just like trying to figure it out, because you didn't know when Celtics Heat was going to end, and Denver, regardless, I believe would have been the home team for game 1 of the NBA Finals. So you kind of have to work around that. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's like, okay, let's try and pack this in quickly and make this happen. It's obviously not going to happen every year, but who the fuck knows? Because look at Stan Kroenke's track record over the last couple of years with teams he owns. They've all gone to championships. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
But I can't wait. Like, it's going to be this is what I think, even when we started this podcast back in 2018 and even before that, this is what people dreamed about with, lacrosse weekends, college lacrosse happening, NLL happening, PLL right around the way. Obviously it was the MLL back then, but like to have this much all happening together is such a cool experience. And this is what everybody, when they say, oh, sport of the future's here. Like, welcome to the future. Welcome to the 21st century.
Oh, absolutely. This is what we've been looking for. Obviously we just want to see it spread out throughout the days. Like, everything is Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like,
it's Friday again.
We get a few Tuesday games throughout the year, but like, there's enough D1 And I mean, hey, let's even stretch this down to D2 and D3 to have it on Sunday through Sunday, because there's games Sunday through Sunday. Even if it's just ESPN Plus, there's space, there's time. Put us out there. There's no reason this sport shouldn't be getting that kind of level. When I see D2, D3, I see NAIA football and NAIA baseball on ESPN Plus at any random day of the week, we can do the same. We can do the same. Like, and that's just the next step for us. Like, it's not a bash or anything like that, but like that's kind of just the next point we have to be looking to get to as a lacrosse community, because that's what we want. Like, we want to be able to come home on a Monday at, have dinner at 6:30 and turn on a game, just like you would with football or basketball or anything else. Like, we're this close to it. It's just the more we watch, the more we go to games, the more money we pour into it, the more benefits we're going to get out of it. It works just like anything else in the world. So, like, don't give up yet, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, game 1 of the NLL Finals is going to be at 7 p.m., so it's like perfect roll into. You have a nice little break in between, rolls right in, and then game 2 at 4 p.m. on Memorial Day. Like, come on. Hook it to my veins. That's like perfect timing. It's going to go right from the D1 championship right into the NLL Finals, which is going to be just like glue us to our seats. It's going to be incredible. And like we mentioned, game 1, Saturday night, OTB cast live on our YouTube channel. We'll be watching along. Come join the fun. Be a companion stream for the game, like we did a few times this year. So come hang out with us, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. But Deej, I think without any further ado, we talk about just the keys to this matchup for both teams. For the Bandits, who do you see as somebody that needs to step up, somebody that we're not talking about nearly enough for them to be a pivotal piece to help them finally get over this championship drought and get over this hump against Dylan Ward, get over this blockade that has been the Colorado Mammoth for them in 2 NLL Finals appearances? Who do you think somebody that's got to step up?
This one is tough, because we talk about kind of all the same guys all the same time, because like they're the ones to talk about all the time.
I have my guy.
I have 2.
I feel like
now that I'm looking through,
I feel like we have a similar one.
Tahoka, for sure.
That's who I was gonna say.
Yeah, like he's been on the cusp of doing a lot of really good things, and they just need him to pop through during this, because like it seemed like he disappeared a little bit during the finals last year, and like in some bigger.
And he
games.
had a great year this year for a team that's as loaded as the Buffalo Bandits. He scored 32 goals and had 19 assists this year. And on most teams, Tahoka's going to be a top 3 guy. He's like the 6th option on this team, which is insane to think about when you break it all down. To have 51 points out of Tahoka like that is crazy. Mm-hmm. But if he steps up and is able to perform at the level everybody knows Tahoka can, and we're not saying he didn't this year, but if he steps up and it's like, oh, that's the Tahoka game, the Bandits are going to have a much more seamless time getting over this hump than they would if Tahoka's not able to step up and be that piece that's able to contribute in a game. Oh, he's got 2 goals and 2 assists. That's game-changing in the NLL Finals.
That's literally huge. That's like the kind of production they need from him this year in the finals. Like, he's definitely a guy I had circled. The other guy I had was Matt Spenger. I think like Buffalo gets pretty decent defensive play, like consistently throughout the game and throughout the year. But in big games like this, it seems like Priola would be consistent. You'd get a couple plays out of Ian McKay and a couple other transition guys, but they didn't have like that second defender that would stop a Eli McLaughlin, stop a Connor Robinson, like keep a guy from, getting off a really good shot. Last year it was Joey Caputo coming down in transition a lot. Like, Warren Jeffries.
That goal Joey scored in the finals was
it was insane.
Top 3 goal ever.
Yeah, that was insane. And it's just like they need another D guy to make that effort that Priolo does and just be consistent, and just shut off that next best option. Because normally if you can stop the first two, the third one is kind of, one, not expecting it on that play, kind of in a tough spot, especially with the shot clock only being 30 seconds. They're probably down to about 8 seconds or so to go, maybe even less than that. So they really can only make literally one move and shot. So it limits a lot if you can shut down the first two. But Buffalo's had problems shutting down the first two against Colorado. So I think if Spanger can step up and play on the level Priolo does, then they have really good chances of winning.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a moment where it's like, that's the Tehoka game. That's the game that, like, could turn this series on its head one way or another. So I'm looking forward to that. From the Mammoth side of things, there's a few guys that you want to see step up and be key contributors for this team because they're going to need it. Like, let's not fool ourselves. This Buffalo team was fantastic this year. They're playing at an unreal level in the postseason right now. My guy that I want to see step up and continue to play well, just like he did in Game 3 against Calgary, Warren Jeffrey. You're going to need that big body on the defensive side of things to be a force, and whether he's matched up against Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, whoever it may be, you know he's marking one of those top guys, and you're going to need him to play at the elite level that everybody knows Warren Jeffrey is capable of doing. He was phenomenal in Game 3 against Calgary, even scored and was able to move in transition and go up the floor and score for Colorado. He's my player to watch. He's my guy that needs to step up and is a key to Colorado's success, because you're going to have to stop two of the best players in the world who are playing at an unbelievable level right now and are going to be coming into this game, Game 1 in particular, and pushing all their chips in the middle of the table because they want to get over this hump against this team, against Dylan Ward, against Zed Williams. Like, there's so much pent up just time after time not being able to get over the hump against these guys that they're going to want to do whatever it takes, #Avengers, and go out and perform at a level that we may have never seen from Josh Byrne and Dane Smith in our lives.
That's what's going to happen. You know, they're going to have to come out and play very, very well if they're going to want to win. Buffalo has always had problems on offense against Colorado in the last few years, so I think Colorado's expecting them to come out and look to shoot a lot and look to shoot quickly. I think one of the things Buffalo is going to take advantage of is having Max Adler. Is like when he wins, they're going to want to go quick, get the ball down, get the guys out, take a couple shots, and move on. And I also think they may take the approach of trying to get longer possessions, simply taking some, for a lack of a better term, dummy shots here, literally just to put it on cage and get the loosey and then have the shot clock reset. Going against a tired defense is you're more likely to score. Like, we see this in NLL statistics. After you have a reset or two, the number goes up almost 50% more likely to score. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them aim, at some feet to get a ricochet and try and go for a longer possession. But like, my player to watch for Colorado is whoever takes faceoffs for them. It doesn't really have it listed, but that's going to be huge. Because if Buffalo can play make it take it ball like they've been playing with some other people, you're going to be in trouble, because that's when they really get in a groove. They're scoring, they're feeling good about each other, and then Max Adler's at the stripe giving it back to him all the time. Like, they start running with that momentum a ton. So you kind of have to keep that in check, and the best way to do that is face-offs. They score, you get the ball back, and even if you don't score, you have a possession, or maybe you get a reset and it's a lengthy possession, or you do go down and score and you're keeping things level. You're keeping them from getting too much momentum. But face-offs are going to be huge this series. They did all right against Colorado. They went 11-19. Like, they can do okay there, but that's not Max Adler, who is a legit face-off guy.
I want to say it's Jordan Gillies that takes face-offs for them primarily. I could be wrong there, so I know Hoots is listening. Let us know if we're
Please.
right there. But I'm pretty sure Jordan Gillies takes a number of faceoffs for Colorado for sure. But yeah, I mean, the series is going to be bonkos. We're going to do the same thing we did with both East and West finals. I'm going to give our predictions for the first 2 games because they are nearly back-to-back. We do reserve the right to change our picks once we see the results of Game 1. We didn't really have to after we saw things in the East and the West, really. Unfortunately, we didn't when it came to Buffalo and Toronto. We should have, but we digress. Let's go feed some ducks, Deej, and it is the NLL Finals picks of the week. Brought to you by our friends over at Trophy Smack. There's no better way, guys, to upgrade your fantasy smack talk than with our friends at Trophy Smack. They've got belts, rings, trophies, obviously, metal wall art that is officially licensed by a number of major sports leagues. They're doing the damn thing. They've got last place trophies to make fun of the losers in your leagues. Dust off get rid of those dusty old trophies you've had for years and go upgrade to something much better with our friends at Trophy Smack. Go to trophysmack.com/underground and upgrade your fantasy smack talk today. That's trophysmack.com/underground to upgrade your fantasy smack talk. DJ, we start with Game 1 in Buffalo, Bandit Land, who averaged 14,000 people in attendance this season. It's going to be loud. It's going to be raucous. How do you see Game 1, Buffalo, Colorado playing out?
They might get a dub in there. They might get 20,000. It's going to be crazy in there. Upper Bowl is going to be open. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a party. And the boys are going to feel it at home. And I'm taking Buffalo.
I think based on principle, I have to go Buffalo here as well, simply because of how they have been playing to the entirety of this postseason so far. To put up the number of goals they have against such highly talented teams is bananas. And they've kind of shifted a gear from being this team that plays in close games all year long to now we're blowing everybody out, get out of our way, we're coming for what's ours. 20-8, 14-5, 17-8 are their postseason victories. That's crazy. I don't think it'll be that big of a blowout just simply because of how Dylan Ward and this Colorado defense has been playing. But they're at home. They're playing at a nuclear type of offensive level right now. I'm going to take Colorado in Game 1 to set the tone for this series. We move to Game 2 in Colorado, Memorial Day. I'm going to flip it on its head. I'm going to give the keys to the Colorado Mammoth. They're going to extend the series to 3 games. They're going to win Game 2. They're going to find a way at home. It's going to be one of those gritty type of games, you know, a 9-7, a 10-8 type of thing, because that's the style that Colorado plays. They're at home. Last time that these fans will see Colorado playing at home until next season, they're going to make it so uncomfortable. They know who's coming into town. This is damn near certified as a rivalry in the NLL, interconference rivalry, which is very fun. I'm going to take Colorado to take Game 2, and we get 2 straight years of Game 3s in the NLL Finals.
You know those sports memes that come out of, like, people watching people celebrate?
Mm-hmm.
It hurts worse when you're watching them do it on your field. Buffalo had to watch Colorado celebrate in Bandit Land last year after winning a championship. Not only do I think they want them to feel that feeling, but I don't think they want to give them an opportunity at a Game 3. I think even just the opportunity of a Game 3 scares Buffalo, even though it's in Buffalo. And as well, if they've played this year at home, knowing they're going to get the fans out, I see a sweep. I think they feel the only way to really do this is to sweep. So I think, especially if they take care of business Monday or tomorrow, they're looking at it like, okay, let's go home. It's going to be all business tomorrow. They're going to go in, they're going to win, and then afterward, they're all going to shower, they're going to do a press conference, and they're going to go home and go to bed. and then they're going to fly out, and then they're going to, practice, have their shoot around the next morning, and then they're going to go out and play. Like, they mean business for the next 2 days, and they're like, we'll party afterward. But right now, we have to get over this hump. It's all business. And I just think Game 3 scares them way too much to allow it to happen. If Game 3 happens, I think Colorado wins.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that for sure. So there it is, our first two. And obviously we said we reserve the rights to switch up our picks depending on how Game 1 goes. We're both taking Buffalo in Game 1. I'm taking Colorado in Game 2. D just taking Buffalo to sweep it and win the NLL Finals. And for the standings, I know we haven't had picks graphics go out just because of scheduling and life. I'm 1 game behind Deej in the standings going into the NLL Finals. We could end up with a tie. Which would be insane.
Yeah.
So we'll see how everything plays out. But those are our Game 1 and Game 2 NLL Finals picks of the week, brought to you by our friends over at Trophy Smack. Which brings us to the PLL, Deej. Mike and Paul ringing the bell at the NASDAQ. It's brought to you by our friends over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. We're out in Philly this weekend. We're in Albany next weekend. We're going to be rocking our Tomahawk Shades faux show. They're the best small batch eyewear in the game. They've been rocking with us for 3 years now across our network. They're providing a high-quality product for an affordable price that is a fraction of what the big eyewear companies are doing. They have a style, as Deej has put out there for the people for any occasion, whether it's work, recreational, big events. You're going to look great in your Tomahawk Shades. Sunglasses, blue light glasses, snow goggles, everything. They've got them. Go to tomahawkshades.com. Fill up your cart. They've got prescription lenses as well. And when you go to checkout, use our code USP for 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. That's 25% off at tomahawkshades.com when you use code USP at checkout from our friends at Tomahawk Shades. Mike and Paul ring the bell at the NASDAQ, Deej. The NASDAQ goes up as soon as they do it. That's the PLL effect. And Paul sits down with Kark after it is announced that the PLL will be going to home cities in 2024. That does not mean the touring model is going away. That just means in terms of where they'll be going will be these 8 delegated home cities for their teams that are currently in the league. And there will be 2 neutral site games along with the All-Star game and the playoffs. There's a lot to unpack from all of this. There's a whole state of the league that Paul and Kark put out on the PLL's YouTube channel. Highly advise going and checking it out. There's a lot that's positive, I think, from this, and there's some question marks. I'm not even going to say that they're negatives. It's a lot of question marks. It's a lot of gray area right now, simply because it's early. They plan to announce the cities that the 8 teams will be calling home in Q4, which is the end of the year. And then by January 1st, we'll know a whole lot more, which is typical for the PLL. They do a lot of the big announcements on New Year's Day. Initial thoughts, initial reactions. I know like 3 weeks ago, we got the rumor of this happening, but now it is official. 2024 is home cities for the PLL.
Well, like you said, it's a very mixed feeling. A lot of me likes the idea because it brings some solidification to the league. It gives the average fan in the area something to do and get into. And it does kind of help with expansion. They've tested the markets. So they kind of know where they want to go. So once they do start to settle down in certain places, they can move out to others. So, like, it has a lot of good points, but I personally think it's a little fast. I feel like we really could have waited. I don't know how expensive it was getting to travel and everything. That's, like, one thing that popped in my head about it was, like, travel may be a reason why they're deciding to, like, start to go this way so that they can fizzle out from the travel base, the tour base model, and get more solidified to save some money in travel regards. But like outside of that, it's like this is a little fast. We probably could have waited till like 12 teams maybe before deciding to settle down, but I'm not in charge of the league either.
That's why we don't make the decisions.
Right.
We just propose them.
I just propose them. I'm just a media member and a fan that wants to see certain things for the game because I want it to grow. So, like, with that being said, like, I do think this will help the game grow a lot, depending on where they settle down. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's when we can really dive into this and, like, have real deliberation about it and real opinions on it and how it will affect the game is when we know where these teams will be placed. But like right now, it's kind of just way too early opinions, which is making me upset because people don't know how to just relax for a bit, and it might tarnish what could possibly be a really good thing. Like people are going to see your opinions about it first before it actually happens. So like just be careful about what you say in terms of it, because like what you think right now with no real facts could be completely different than what actually happens. But now people have seen your thoughts and they think it's a negative thing and don't even want to tap into it. So like we just have to be wary of what we say. That's pretty much my biggest thing is like us as fans and media have to be careful how we present the idea, because that's what most people are going to resonate with. Because like sure, they're listening to the state of the league and like what the coaches and players are saying about it, but like that's also like a slated eye, like they're gonna say it's a good thing because like it's their job. Like not like it's their job to say that, but like the league is their job. So like of course they think it's a good thing because they're getting paid and they're working and it's growing in their eyes. So like, but us as fans and media, like other people who are getting into the sport are gonna take our words more. They're gonna take kind of our words more than a player or an executive, because it's like you're in our same position. Yeah. So they're like, what you think is probably how I'm gonna feel about it. So just treat it like that, pretty much.
I think we've already started to kind of see the optics of home cities just not be delegated yet. You look at the schedule the past couple of years since post-bubble. We've gone to a number of cities year after year after year, including the Albanys. We've gone to Charlotte back-to-back years now. Long Island is a staple and is now on the postseason roster. Philly has been every single year, whether it's championship or we had the 1 year it was a semifinal. Homewood has been a staple in Baltimore. Fairfield now back-to-back years due to a sellout. Denver has been a staple. Salt Lake City's been a staple. You can kind of get an idea now. We're going to Dallas back-to-back years. Minnesota has been a spot that they've gone to 3 years in a row now. You kind of have an idea. Boston has been a staple from the beginning. You kind of have an idea of where a lot of these home cities are more than likely being mapped out to be. So, I mean, just look at where the league's been going the last 3 years now. From 2021 on, they're going back to Columbus this year. I think that's a huge thing to kind of just pay attention to, of like how well Columbus does. And if you're a fan in Ohio, get tickets and go to the game.
If you are a fan within 10 hours of driving range to Columbus, you should be going. Like, I'm just being honest with you. Columbus was fantastic 2019, year one that they went there.
And that was the playoffs.
That was the playoffs. That was where the Let's Go Redwoods chant started. Like, everything was electric. We both happened to be there, but had no clue that either of us existed at the time. Like, it was fantastic in Columbus there. So this time will determine if they give us a team in 2024 or not. Yep. Guarantee this Columbus trip determines if the Midwest gets a team or not. And there are
outside of Minnesota.
There are tons of fans in the Midwest, from Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky,
which they're going
Iowa.
to for the All-Star game this year with Louisville.
Yeah, Iowa, or is it Louisville? I thought it was Kansas City.
No, they're going to Louisville.
Louisville? Okay. I think I signed up for ASG creds. I might go, but like
I would, but I saw those flights. I damn near had a heart attack. I almost coughed up lungs and internal organs across the board.
You know, I just got a Spirit flight for $200.
Yeah, 10
days.
I was looking at
ads.
all them prices, and they were like 4x what you've paid for your flight. And that was from Atlantic City.
This might be the first time being black worked out for me in this kind of circumstance. What if they're just giving me cheaper tickets because I'm black? Like that would be bonkers, but like I'm here for it. I am here for it. Because that's crazy.
I'm dead.
I don't think I've paid more than what? I don't think I've paid more than $300 for a flight here.
Must be nice.
Or maybe it's because I live in Michigan.
We need an airline sponsor.
We do need an airline sponsor.
Or at least a luggage sponsor.
A something sponsor. Man, because this is expensive.
I would love to go to Kentucky. Like,
Kentucky
it would be the first time I'd be there. All-Star Game's going to be crazy. I saw Mike tweet it. It's 20% sold out, and that's just with group packages. They haven't even put individual tickets out for sale yet for that. So, like, love to go to Kentucky. Mike and Paul, if you're listening, if you want us to come be judges for the skills contest and everything, like, let us know. Plus, you're clearly listening to us because the All-Star Game's on a Saturday this year. But, yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned it when Kentucky was announced. Like, the All-Star Game should be used as a test market for home cities, whether it's, moving forward or, with expansion and stuff like that. The one thing that stood out to me that was kind of concerning, that I don't know if Paul just maybe didn't phrase it the right way or if it's just the way they're thinking. They said that, when they look at some of the markets that they're going to be putting these teams in, maybe, you look at the MLL merger and maybe there's different markets that fit better for brands and teams could potentially have name switch-ups. I'm not a fan of that aspect of everything that was announced. Everything else seems very ideal. You and I talked about it off the record. We were just texting and said, this is going to make expansion easier to happen. But if you're saying, hey, we're going to put the Water Dogs as an example, because I saw this on Twitter, we're going to put the Water Dogs in Denver and change them to the Outlaws, I'm not a fan of that, because then you're taking away what Paul mentioned. Fans are going to be like, I was there for the first 5 years of the PLL before there was home city affiliations and, city backings and stuff like that. You're taking away from your built-up history that is so young, still kind of in its infancy, but you're surging towards the future. I think the response from when you brought the Cannons into the PLL was massive. And just the response of bringing back a team that has so much history, such a loyal fan base from everybody in the Boston, New England area, too, that are like, I'm going to jump on board. Cannons are back. Let's go. If you do that with the Outlaws as an example, Denver, I think, was a top 3 team in terms of loyal fan base, constant turnout to their games. They had unbelievable success. And I think you would get so many people saying, all right, my Outlaws are back. I'm going to go root. The same thing happened in the NLL when teams went away. Personally, the Wings came back. You look at their games, they're selling out home games left and right. I think if you bring back the core teams like the Outlaws, like the Bayhawks, and even the Lizards, you have to create new social media for them. But you bring those 3 of the 5 teams that they have the IP for back in terms of expansion. You keep them as they are. You keep these 8 teams as they are. And then you move forward with recreating new teams, new branding, and everything like that. I think eliminating, based on where you put some of these teams, their identity is more a negative than it is a positive.
The only thing is, what if they couldn't find cities with the backing, and that's why this is happening? Like, that's like that literally just popped in my head as we were sitting here right now. Is like, it may be a situation where like they couldn't find 8 cities other than like.
Because I'll say this, like, in terms of Philly, a lot of people want to put the Water Dogs in Philly because of Michael Sowers and the recency of just the turnout of the last championship game that we had. I'm telling you, as somebody who lives in the Philadelphia area, I don't know how you schedule properly to have another team in the city. It's a huge reason, in my opinion, why we yearn for it here, because we think it would do well. But that's why there's no WNBA team in Philadelphia right now, because there's just the Wells Fargo Center, and the amount of teams that play there, the time that would have to go in, the turnover that has to go into it, plus it being a concert venue, it makes it super difficult to house that. Obviously, Philly, it would probably be Subaru Park, but you're playing during the same time. There's a reason why the championship game has been in Philly almost every year. It's because it's when the Union are on the road. You're able to play one weekend there. It makes it much more doable. If you're having to continually switch over between lacrosse and soccer at Subaru Park, one, it's gonna make the field something that you're gonna have to maintain 10x more, and two, just the scheduling that you're gonna have to do with a league like the MLS that has so many different teams coming in from different areas, not only in the U.S., but you have teams in Canada and stuff like that. I think and from what Paul said during media week or media day before the championship game last year, he said we're going to be coming back to Philly for years to come because of the relationship they have at Subaru Park and with the city. I do think that the postseason schedule is going to be more streamlined, and you're going to have staple postseason cities that will be, okay, we couldn't put a team here, but we're going to make this a spot that is a gathering point for fans of the league to come to celebrate a championship, to come out for the postseason and stuff like that, to kind of keep that aspect alive. I don't necessarily know if Philadelphia is going to be a market that they're going to be able to jump into right away, simply because of location and the amount of teams and the amount of time allotted that's going to have to be made possible for the league.
Do you think they possibly step away from Subaru and go to, I don't know, St. Joe's, Penn, Drexel?
Maybe, but even then, I think with Subaru in particular, it makes it a much more accessible point, because it is kind of outside. It's in Chester. It's not necessarily Philly. You have the parking there that is not city parking, which makes it a lot more difficult, especially in a city like Philadelphia. Trying to park, in those areas is pretty tough. So you're going to have to rely a lot more on local transportation, which already has its struggles as is. And that's not just for Philly either. I think that's a similar thing for a New York-based team, and Long Island is obviously the one that you keep an eye on. I think that is something that is going to be difficult to pull off, with just finding and obviously Hofstra is the place they've been playing, but there's been hurdles there too of making sure Hofstra is conducive for fans getting there and everything, and just the venue itself. I don't know if you want to, go back to playing at a collegiate stadium again. I think, eventually in the grand scheme, when the league is making buku bucks, you're building stadiums, and it's in those cities entrenched there, and it's meant for lacrosse. I think some of these bigger cities, though, it's going to be difficult to pull off having a team there, and that's why I think the Long Islands, the Philadelphias, and even Boston with Gillette and everything, when they have it, I think those three cities could be your staple postseason spots, and then you build out your markets in some of the places you've tested already that we've seen, like the Salt Lakes, the Denvers, Fairfield, Hopkins with Baltimore and everything, because of its history and everything. That's where I see the home bases kind of coming into play.
I mean, I hate talking so early about it.
Yeah, of
we
course.
Literally
this is all
know
speculation
nothing.
nation.
Yeah, we could be so wrong.
This is just our instant reaction thoughts, and just how our brains are functioning without even truly knowing the plans, and not even getting an opportunity to kind of pick Paul's brain potentially about this. But this is just where my brain goes, and being in a town where the PLL has been uberly successful, I think it makes more sense for them to keep it as the championship city. And I think that's how PLL fans view Philly now. That is, all roads lead to Philly every single year. It's good for branding. It's good for marketing. It's a big market in general, so you're not losing out on the market per se either. And I think the league loves coming to Philly anyway, because of the relationship they have with Subaru Park and with the city of Philadelphia. So I think that makes a ton of sense. we're not going to speculate on where teams are going to be placed. That is way too early. It's way too silly. But my one concern and my big question mark is getting rid of branding that you've already established with these 8 teams, I think would be silly. Just bring in those new teams. There's so much talent, and we've talked about this even before the Cannons were brought back in. There's so much talent in the player pool right now. You're seeing it now with the guys who are being put on the unable to travel list because of the NLL Finals. Guys are getting signed left and right. It's like, how is this guy in the player pool? There's so many college guys that didn't get drafted that are being put on training camp rosters. You can fill out another 2 rosters in terms of just like making things work like that. Obviously, money comes into play, travel costs come into play, and that's a big thing with why they're going to city-based is the cities you're going to, you kind of get an idea of how travel's going to work, but bring the Outlaws and the Bayhawks back in together so that way you stay an even number of teams going into, say, 2024, 2025, whatever it may be. Boom. I think you're able to put a roster together of 19 guys for both of those teams from the player pool and who's coming out of college next year alone.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wanted them to expand last year. I don't know.
Which we knew wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I think this even sets that back a little farther, honestly.
Which we said when the championship series got announced, the earliest I personally thought that they would expand at the bare minimum was 2025. Because it's top 4 teams, championship series type of thing, trying to build in like your own Champions League equivalent to what they do with Premier League, Serie A, and everything in professional soccer. I think 2025 is the earliest bare minimum that we see any type of expansion.
And I think it gets pushed back even farther now because like this is going to throw some wrinkles in there just with getting this all smoothed out and figured out. I think they're going to want to do that with 8 before they start throwing more fire into more wood into the fire. Like it's going to be tough to expand with all the moving parts that they're now going to have going with settling this down into cities/regions.
And I think the thing for next year, too, we're going to see a lot of those staple cities we mentioned, like Salt Lake, Denver, Fairfield, et cetera, et cetera. The 2 weekends that are neutral sites, those are big time. Like, if you're in those markets that end up being those neutral site cities, buy tickets. Because those are the things that they're going to look at from a league standpoint is how do things turn out here. I think Fairfield was a massive one of those last year where it sold out every single day. The crowd was crazy. Everything was wild in Fairfield in all the right ways, and that's why they're going back. And that's why I think Connecticut could be a team home city going into 2024 is because of how Fairfield turned out. Those 2 neutral site cities are going to be massive in terms of them seeing the turnout in person and determining whether or not those cities can work as a home city for an expansion team.
Yeah, I mean,
as well as the All-Star game.
Right. There's a lot of moving pieces that I like and dislike about this. I could probably talk about it for forever, honestly, because like when the league started, my friends like, and I got on the pod and everything, like they ask me all the time, like, when do you think they're gonna settle down? Like, where do you think they're gonna go? Like, and we would just deliberate over and over about like where they're gonna go, when they're gonna do it, and like. Now that it's happening, I have no words. Like I have no real words because like I've kind of exhausted all of them, and like now I kind of just want to wait to see like and gather some information and then be able to make like really informed opinions on it. Like come this time in December when we're getting more and more information all the time, like my opinion will start to actually shift and mold into exactly how I feel about it.
It's going to be interesting, and the wild part, too, on the 31st of May, we are getting brand new, refreshed jerseys for every single team. I have no idea what to expect. I'm kind of hoping some of it is some of our brain children. But I will say the plus side of this, from what we saw from the championship series jerseys, these jerseys are going to look fucking sweet.
Bring the trees back.
Please.
Bring the
Please.
trees back.
Hashtag free the trees.
Free the trees.
We're not talking Latrell Harris.
Oh, we didn't get into those.
We'll get into them. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, free the trees. Free the chainmail.
Yeah. Yep.
Need it.
What it bring back the I don't know what kind of print that was on the old school Chaos jerseys.
Oh yeah, the stained glass look.
Yeah.
Free the stained glass. Although I do like the new Chaos.
The new
jerseys.
one isn't bad either.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. Like just looking at the championship series jerseys alone, like there's so much that I think Champion is going to be capable of pulling off with these teams that I'm stoked. And I think I'm more stoked for
The Adidas jerseys to go on sale.
well, they're all gone now, unfortunately. I'm looking forward to these jerseys going on sale.
Yeah, the old school.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. That's technically
But
still an Adidas design.
I'm
just
also
with-
looking forward to just like any like significant changes to any of these jerseys because I think there's potential for a lot of differences for Cannons and a lot of differences for the Water Dogs because they haven't really had too much change being the expansion teams. I think you can do so much with those two teams and really make those jerseys pop and be such a staple uniform that's like, I need a Water Dogs jersey. I need a new Cannons Lacrosse Club jersey. Like, there's so much you can do with it. And there's been so many, like, unique jerseys that we've gotten for all the other teams, too, throughout the years that I think those two are what I'm most looking forward to seeing how they kind of approach them. And jersey reveals in any sport are so much fun online. On May 31st, we are going to have an all-time jersey banter day, and I can't fucking wait.
It's gonna be bonkers. People are gonna be saying just the most wild of stuff all day. And I hope they drop them early at like 8 a.m. so we can just be crazy all day. Like, please. I'm working from right here, so I don't care. I don't care when you drop them. I'll see them.
What day of the week is?
It's Wednesday.
Oh, it's perfect. I'm off.
Yeah, that's Wednesday.
That's perfect. So yeah, I mean, there's gonna be so much that just comes from these jerseys and everything. I can't wait to see how things are gonna go. But yeah, hashtag free the trees in the comment section on YouTube too, because
free the trees,
free them things. But yeah, shifting back
and
from
if they free them, they better wear them on the 3rd.
Facts. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on the jersey redesigns, which jerseys you're looking most forward to, which ones you think are going to absolutely stink, and everything in between in the YouTube comment section. Shifting back, though, real quick to the NLL, we did have the award winners announced for pretty much everything, if I'm not mistaken, across the board. And I'm going to pull up the NLL Instagram, that's where most of the stuff is in a visual form for me here. Shout out to adjacent friend of the program, was never truly on the pod, but he was in the waiting room when we did our New Year's Eve episode this year. Producer Donnie, Jonathan Donville, Rookie of the Year for Panther City. Friend of the program, Christian Del Bianco, wins Goaltender of the Year and MVP. No big deal to us, just a friend of the pod winning the MVP. Big time stuff there. Another future friend of the pod, Latrell Harris, Defensive Player of the Year. Love that for Treasy. He had an all-time year. Stoked for the boy. Back-to-back Transition Player of the Year, Zach Currier, one of, if not the best player on the planet. Dan Carey wins GM of the Year. Kurt Malosky wins Coach of the Year for the Calgary Roughnecks. Dangerous Dan Dawson wins Teammate of the Year. And no surprise, Lyle Thompson wins Sportsmanship Award of the Year. And our guy, Teddy Jenner, wins Media Person of the Year. Congratulations to Teddy. And then our guy, Mark Fine from the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, wins Executive of the Year across the board. And then we also got our first team and second team All-League. And we got our All-Rookie teams. First team All-League, Christian Del Bianco, Dane Smith, Jeff Teat, Zach Currier, Latrell Harris, and Graham Hossack. All 5 First, those guys won awards, and then Graham Hosick, one of the best, obviously. Second team All-League, Nick Rose, Connor Fields, Tom Schreiber, Challen Rogers, Brad Cree, and Steve Priolo. All-Rookie team, Jonathan Donville, Brett Dobson, Jack Hanna, Jake Boudreau, Danny Logan, and John Piatelli. Great rookie squad there. I do have to say, though, outside of obviously the Roughnecks boys winning, not a lot of love across the board for the West Coast in a lot of these awards. It is kind of crazy when you look at it, a team like San Diego and the way they performed this year. Danny Logan, the lone representative there on the all-rookie team. Kind of shocking there that, a Dane Doby or a Curtis Dixon doesn't get nominated for a second team all-league. I mean, it is a testament to how good Toronto was and how good Buffalo was, and Connor Fields had a career year this year for Rochester. But, I mean, that just goes to show you how competitive this goddamn league is.
I mean, yeah, even Panther City had a really good year this year, and Donville was the only one who got on the list. Like, there were a lot of guys who missed out, and, like, I get it because it's hard to pull out, 12 guys out of the whole league. Like, it's hard, but, like, at least try and spread the love. Like, yeah, those teams had really good seasons, but, like, it's not the team. Like, sometimes you're not that good as an individual because your team is that good. Like, sometimes guys who win awards or get awards, like, being on an all team is, like, because their team was so good and, like, they contributed to that. But, like, there were people who did better than them individually, and that's who that award should go to. Like, those awards need to truly be individual awards. Like,
yeah.
The team success has nothing to do with those awards.
100%. So shout out to the boys winning their awards and everybody who was nominated as well. I think it's an honor in and of itself to get nominated there. And maybe one day we'll be nominated for Media People of the Year. But shout out to Teddy Jenner, the guy. We will certainly be working on getting him on the pod very, very soon. Just scheduling is tough sometimes during the year. So shout out to Teddy Jenner. He's been one of the kindest humans to me personally and to the pod in general since we started this thing. Happy to see him win his second Tom Borelli Media Person of the Year award. But, Deej, that brings us to championship weekend in the city of brotherly love. It's brought to you by the official beer of Underground Sports Philadelphia, Kenwood Beer. It's a refreshing light beer, only 4.1% ABV, 127 calories, 10 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use the Kenny tracker this weekend if you're going to be in Philadelphia to see who has Kenwood on tap in the Philadelphia area. You can buy it at your local Philadelphia area liquor stores. And if you're in Eastern PA, get it at your local Whole Foods. Light body, light calories, plenty of flavor. The best light beer on the planet. You must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, guys, please drink responsibly. They just launched a brand new logo refresh too. Looking real nice. Did you see that bad boy, Deej? Did you see the Kenwood refresh?
I have not seen the refresh.
Oh, man.
I did not know there's a refresh.
Oh, there's a refresh, and it is very nice, as Borat once said. Here is the new Kenny logo.
Oh, okay.
Nice little street sign action.
I like the street sign
Nice little action there. And they did post on their Instagram. I asked this to Dylan yesterday because it very much fits with streamer season. But I think it fits with this too, with all the action we're going to have on TV this weekend. They posted on their Instagram. This is original thought number 532, Teach. Don't give in to the tyranny of convention. Just because nobody has a TV in their bathroom doesn't mean it's a bad idea. Think original, drink original. Love, Kenny. Best place you've ever seen a TV. Go.
A sports bar bathroom. So you don't miss the game. like literally, I can't remember exactly where I was.
I feel like I have seen a TV in a bathroom before too, like way back in the day, like a little tube TV, just sitting on the counter in a bathroom.
No. I cannot remember where I was for the life of me, but I was at a sports bar somewhere, and it was the middle of a game. I was actually watching, didn't really want to go, but I was like, I have to walk in. And right above the urinal is a like little small flat screen TV, and it's got the game playing. And I was like, "This is fantastic!" It's like these should be everywhere. These should be absolutely everywhere. Like, I'd never miss anything in a game if there were just TVs in bathrooms everywhere. Right above the toilet, right above the urinal, just bam. Little small, like 10-inch screen. Like, it literally was no bigger than a laptop. Perfect.
I'm trying to think of where the craziest plays I've seen. I mean, I definitely feel like way back in the day at like my grandma's house, there was like a tube TV on the kitchen or on the bathroom counter, just sitting like a 12-inch TV sitting on the bathroom counter. I do think I've seen a kitchen TV before, like in the actual kitchen. And then you got those refrigerators now that have TV screens on them to begin with. I think the craziest place that I don't know if they have it at every stadium, so correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but I've sat in Citizens Bank Park behind home plate one time in my life. On the brick that goes around the stadium and everything, below there are TVs down there that play the game. Wild.
That's just stupid.
It's crazy.
That's just stupid.
There's TV screens in the brick.
Because why?
With the games on.
Why? That's literally just stupid. Who's watching that? Who's watching
I don't
that?
know if the channels change. I don't know if it's strictly set on the Phillies games. I do know that when I was sitting there, there were scouts from the opposing team sitting there. So I don't know if that was like, hey, let's put it on here. But there are TVs at Citizens Bank Park inserted into the brick down right behind home plate.
That's just dumb. That's just dumb. I can't believe that.
We'll be at Lincoln Financial Field this weekend, though.
I'm excited.
And the semifinals, the Final Four, first game, Duke versus Penn State, the 1 versus 5. Penn State, #home game, ? Virginia, Notre Dame in the quote-unquote nightcap at 2:30 Eastern time. That is your D1 Final Four. I loved the meme that came out that it was the dragon heads all fierce, and then Penn State was the one with the tongue out and eyes crossed and everything. What a journey for them to get here as a 5 seed. Beat Princeton by 1. They beat Army by 1. Survive and advance is the name of the game, and they've done just that. Notre Dame coming through. They dismantle Utah. They squeak by Hopkins by 3. And then you have Virginia, who dismantled Richmond. They get by Georgetown. They get by Yale, taking down the Ivy League. And then Duke just barely squeaks by Delaware. They, unfortunately for you, take down your boys. And now they've got a match with Penn State, Virginia, Notre Dame. How's it going to turn out? What are we going to see this weekend when we're at Lincoln Financial Field, the home of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, we got to look back at last weekend. You know, Virginia beating Georgetown by 3 should be troublesome to Cavalier fans. Because they were winning handily. And then Georgetown stormed back and made it a game in the last 8 minutes of that game, which really should have been closer to like a 17-9 kind of score, 17-8 kind of score. And then all of a sudden, Georgetown popped off. Like, what you don't want to do is allow Notre Dame to pop off like that. As someone who saw this Notre Dame team play in person up at the JMA Wireless Dome this year in Syracuse, they were in a really good game with Syracuse, really in it, 9-9 going into the 4th. And then they just popped off. And they won that game like 20-11. You don't want to give this offense any type of juice and let them do that, because you will not squeak out with a three-goal victory. You will lose. Looking at Duke handled Michigan they didn't even really handle them. I was talking to my assistant coach about this for spring ball. Their goalie played out of his mind. Jack Naso neutralized the two-headed threat at the stripe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brennan O'Neill had 6 goals. So really, if we look at this, the rest of that team beat Michigan 9-8. And, I mean, Brennan O'Neill probably had a couple assists, so maybe you take those away too. That team didn't play good. They won off of the backs of 3 people. So
Let's see what his stats were while you.
if Duke wants to win a national championship, they can't show up again like that. Because
Brennan only had 1 assist.
So, I mean, that ties it at 8. Really. You can't play like you did against Michigan. Michigan was a really good team this year. They had a really good defense. Played much better than they ever have. Team 12 made it to the tournament for the first time. Like, yeah, they had a really historic year, and they were playing off of that. But to play down to their level, even, saying this as a Michigan fan, is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play like that in this game against Penn State will beat you.
Mm-hmm.
Because Penn State did it to Michigan too. Michigan was in it with them. They were up 9-7, and then all of a sudden they lost 16-10. I was at that game. It was Dollar Day. It was cold. And they let Penn State storm back and beat them. Let Jack Traynor go off for 6 goals. Like, this same thing as I'm saying about Virginia. Like, you can't give a team the opportunity. You have to bury them. So, that's kind of the word of the day, because Penn State didn't bury Army. Army came storming back, made it a game, tied it up, and then Penn State gets the winner, right? John Hopkins, Notre Dame couldn't close them out. They came storming back, but ultimately didn't have enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't let either of these teams sniff that opportunity, or they will take advantage of it, because they know other teams that have been in that position, and they've been in that position throughout the year as well. So it's just a matter of who's going to show up at the beginning, who's going to play hard, and who's going to bury the other team to a point where they cannot return. So looking at this week, obviously semis are tomorrow. I think Duke squeezes past Penn State. I think they beat them by 2 or 3. Penn State's going to play out of their mind. It's a home game, basically. Jack Traynor's been fantastic. Their defense has looked pretty good. Frassian has been fantastic in goal. So I would not be surprised to see Penn State win. But I think Duke has just been unreal. Look at their attack with Andrew McAdory, Dyson Williams, and Brennan O'Neill. And then you add Garrett Ledman up top, plus, the slew of other guys they have. And then their goalie's been playing great, and Naso gives them one of the better options at midfield, or at the stripe, without LaSala. Obviously, Peter LaSala is who he is. And then you look over at the other side, Notre Dame, Virginia. This is such a tough matchup for me to call, because Virginia is really good. Their offense is star-studded. Peyton Cormier, Griffin Schultz, Xander Dixon, Evan Zinn, Schellenberger. Like, literally, you can just go down the list of who they have. Ricky Miezon. But their defense, Cole Sawstead, Kastner, they're also really good on that side of the ball. And then you have Peter LaSala at the X. Like, they're such a round team. But Notre Dame has beat them already this year. And could you fact check me on that? It might have been Duke that beat Virginia, but I'm pretty sure it was Notre Dame that beat Virginia. But then you look over at Notre Dame. They fight so hard. They've been here before. They haven't been able to get over the hump that is the national championship. And on the other side of the bracket is the one team they haven't been able to get over. They lost to
Virginia 15-10. Notre Dame.
I think they played twice because it's ACC.
And then they lost 12-8.
Okay, so it was. So, I mean, it's tough to beat a team 3 times as well. But you look at Notre Dame, they play hard. They play aggressive. They take advantage of every opportunity they get. And the Cavs ride harder than anyone has ever ridden in the game of lacrosse. Like, it's insane watching those two come up with caused turnovers and ground balls the way they do. So, that just knowing that Virginia can look over on the other side of the bracket and see Duke, who has beat them in 2 national championships, the only 2 that they've been to in the last 20 years, 30 years, knowing that they get an opportunity at them after they get a chance to beat Virginia for, the first time this year. I like Notre Dame to win it all. I like Notre Dame to beat Virginia, and I think they ride off of that momentum, and they go ahead and beat Duke, and they're still feeling the effects of last year of not getting into the tournament. They all still feel that. They beat Duke. They won the ACC. They were on the high. you can hear them talk about it and through X, like, we felt really good, highest of highs, and then the next day, the lowest of lows when our names didn't get called. None of those guys forgot that. There were guys who were playing Ivy League last year who are now transfers on this team. They, the Ivy League had what it had last year. A lot of people, shitted on those guys, for lack of a better term, for being Ivy League and kind of saying that the committee kind of just gave them a year because they took COVID off. Like, there's a lot surrounding those guys as well. So there's a lot of emotion into the Notre Dame side of things, but wouldn't be surprised to see Virginia take this one out either. So this is really such a toss-up, but I personally would like to see Notre Dame win.
I think Duke's going to win against Penn State by the skin of their teeth, just like they have in every game this tournament so far. Even though I think Penn State's going to play well because it's almost a home game for them. I think Virginia's going to win in overtime against Notre Dame. And then it's going to be Virginia and Duke in an all-time type of matchup with the talent that's on both of these teams. I don't know why, but something just tells me it's a Duke year. And as somebody who can't stand Duke basketball, it pains me. But, like, Duke lacrosse is, like, one of those weird instances, too, where, like, for you with Notre Dame, I'm, like, I don't have one way or another allegiances to Duke. But something in my gut just tells me it's a Duke year.
That's disgusting. I hate Duke almost as much as I hate Ohio State.
So we'll see what happens with D1. We'll be there on Monday. If you're gonna be there, come say what's up. D2 and D3 real quick.
Yeah, talk about.
Shout out Teddy Jenner, his Mercyhurst boys going to the championship in D2.
Yes, sir. Took down Lemoyne, number 1 seed overall, number 1 seed. They were the favorite to going in to win the tournament this year. They're making the jump up to D1, actually. So their loss to Mercyhurst was the end of their D2 tenure. They're done. The next time we see them putting on lacrosse jerseys, they will be playing D1 competition. So that was like a huge upset and win for Mercyhurst. And it's almost one of those upsets that isn't an upset because Mercyhurst has played fantastic throughout the year. They were a 2 seed in this tournament. Like, it wasn't something that we weren't expecting to see them in this game and see them play well, but still taking down Lemoyne, and then the Dolphins, who had just popped out new XRS pros and they looked good. Like, all of that goes into factor, but Mercyhurst is going to be looking to do something they haven't done in a while, and so is Lenore Ryan, a 5 seed who made it all the way to the championship game, knocking off Limestone, who also was someone who was expected to go very far. So we have a team who
they also beat the 1 seed.
Yeah, they also beat the 1 seed in their bracket. So it's like we have 2 teams who have beat the best teams in D2 now playing each other. So, and they really have nothing to lose. Mercyhurst is kind of used to being here, back in a position that they're in. Lenore Ryan hasn't been here in a while, but they're playing off of the momentum of beating a couple teams that a lot of people feel like they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this will be the most competitive game we'll see. Like, obviously, outside of men's D1.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may run into a blowout with the next one that we'll talk about, and also I think we may run into a blowout with the women's games, some of the women's games as well. So I think this one, outside of the D1 men's championship, will probably be the most competitive game we see all weekend. Got to be another maybe 11-10 kind of game, but very close, may even go to overtime because they're kind of just playing off of juice and no real, like, expectation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mercyhurst for the Teddy Jenner Media Person of the Year bump. And like you said, they have the experience of knowing what it's like to be there and what it's gonna take. So I'm gonna say Mercyhurst wins there. Then we go to D3, Deej, the D3 championship. It's Tufts, it's Salisbury, and I'm very torn here because Tufts always rolls out with the absolute drip with their unis, but we dubbed this on draft night and on our post-draft podcast. This is a pro Cross Ferrara podcast. We're going to see the boy playing, It's gonna. Are we gonna go anti-brand? Like, this is a tough one to.
get that.
That was unintentional. That was unintentional, and you know it. This is difficult to go anti-brand this quick.
Listen. As much as I would love to stay brand here, there's a small piece of me that will. I'll say that. There's a small piece of me that
I
will.
hope Cross has a goddamn sock trick in this game.
Yes, he should pop off like crazy. But, like, looking at, one, D3 overall as lacrosse this year, Tufts played at a completely different level than everyone in the country. Everyone. It was unreal. I was following it on social media, looking at their highlight tapes on YouTube, like, watching their coach tweet about everything, like, super high level. And there were two teams in the country that were close to playing at their level and were going to give them a run. One of them was RIT, who they played, and they only beat by 4. So, once again,
Shout
gave
out
them a
Jerry.
run.
Shout out Larson Sundown.
The other, Christopher Newport, who
Shout
lost
out Max Wayne
to Salisbury. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like,
it is pretty crazy. Before, not to cut you off, these 4 schools are in the same stratosphere of being talked about and in the zeitgeist of, like, lacrosse Twitter as any D1 school.
yes, these are pretty much D1 lacrosse schools where kids just didn't want the D1 commitment. We talk about this over in the Midwest consistently because D3 schools over here sometimes are some of the better kids in the area, but then we go and play a East Coast D3 team and it's not the same because they're guys who should be way up ahead but don't want to continue to take it that serious, which by no means am I putting anything on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that, I get it. You know, you may not want to take it that serious in college and you want to
It's
go
like those
and
4,
move on.
York, Pennsylvania, like York College of PA,
Amherst,
and Cabrini.
Amherst, yeah. Like, it's the same stuff over and over. But maybe Salisbury does have a chance if they beat Christopher Newport. They were one of the other teams I felt could really give Tufts a run. But I can't. It has nothing to do with the swag or anything. It's just simply the way Tufts has been playing this year. I don't know the last time we saw an undefeated D3 college lacrosse champion, and Tufts is right on the brim of that. It might have been RIT 2 years ago, maybe.
I'll fact check
because I think they dropped one last year, at least one last year. But still, even if we have seen one recently, like, just to do that again, like, anytime someone goes undefeated for an entire season through the playoffs, through their conference playoffs, through the NCAA tournament, it's
2021 RIT went 14-0. And then Salisbury in 2012 went 23-0. And in 2007, 2008, they went 23-0, 22-0. Salisbury has most of the.
Yeah.
Nazareth had one in 1996.
Hobart,
Salisbury has a ton of them.
Hobart, who started way back in D3 and scraped everybody.
They don't have an undefeated one, though.
No, they don't. But
yeah, the first one was 1994 with Salisbury. They went undefeated back-to-back years. Nazareth in 96. So we had back-to-back-to-back D3 champions that went undefeated.
Crazy.
Then Salisbury did it 04, 05, 07, 08,
08, 09,
12.
Oh, yeah. 07,
04, 05, 07, 08.
06, 07, 07, 08, yeah.
Salisbury did it in 2012, and then RIT most recently in 2021.
And possibly again, though, I think again this year with Tufts. Tufts has played, once again, just exponentially better than everyone else.
I will be rooting for both teams to have fun and Cross Ferrara to be an absolute menace. That is my guy.
What do I want?
I love hitching my wagon to a D3 player who is as talented as Cross, who is already candidate for the 2023 KB All Sports All Name team. So I gotta ride for my guy. Imagine after the game on Sunday, we just run into Cross and I just get a picture of him. Big fan. Come on the pod.
That's what we missed today.
Oh yeah, the women's
semis are like right now. Northwestern already took care of business against Denver, beat them 15-7. I was gonna say I saw that coming. Denver had a fantastic season, made it this far as the 5 seed, but Northwestern has been fantastic. The closest they have been into trouble this year was a few games in the Big Ten, and then in the tournament when they faced off against Michigan, Michigan had them down on the ropes and lost by 1 or 2 right at the end of the game. But one thing I want to say about Northwestern is their field selection, like location, top tier. It's right on Lake Michigan. Like, you peer right over, and Lake Michigan's right in the back. You can see boats and stuff in the background. Like, just fantastic location for their field. The other game is one I'm going to pop on as soon as we get done with this. Syracuse and Boston College. I know the boy Brian is going nuts right now watching this game.
It's Brian versus Keegs.
It is. And I think Brian comes out on top this time. Syracuse has been fantastic. Their offense is great. They move the ball around like crazy. They get shots off. They play with great intensity. But Boston College is Boston College. So that's going to be a fantastic game. But I think we see Northwestern, Syracuse in the championship. And I don't know what to think of that game, honestly. It's just two really good teams that I may be just hoping to watch have fun.
For sure. In the YouTube comment section, let us know who you have advancing in the D1 Final Four and winning both D1, D2, and D3, and the women's championship as well in the YouTube comment section. We'll sift through them. We'll tweet out the best ones, best predictions, and everything there.
Pace won the D2 women's 19-9 over Westchester as the 3 seed. Westchester was the 1.
Sheesh.
So they came out and handled business last week.
Shout out Giannis Pappas. Westchester.
And today, Gettysburg took down William Smith 15-10. So they'll take on Middlebury, who took down Franklin and Marshall 22-13 today. On Sunday for the championship game.
One final thought. Shout out to the University of Miami Hurricanes lacrosse program. I am going to put this out there. It's been a while since we've had an update on the KB college recruitment tour. If I am able to get my hands on one of those hats, Miami, you're officially added to the list.
Even as an MCLA team.
Officially added to the list.
Varsity Lacrosse, do you hear that?
Officially added to the list.
Do you hear that?
You're a contender. That hat that they posted on their tweet machine was gorgeous.
So you know what that means, right? We're not going to have to start talking about MCLA on here.
Hey, I said I am easily bribable. I can be bought. That hat is beautiful.
Sell out.
They will have a seat at the table at the very least if I'm able to get my hands on one of those hats. Let me know. Slide in the DMs. Let's make it happen. Plus, I kind of have a little bit of an attachment to Miami now, as one of my students from Buna is attending the University of Miami as a PR student. So I have a small little skin in the game in terms of just the university. If you want a seat at the table, Miami, let's talk. Slide in the DMs.
Listen, I'm tied down to the victors, but I will definitely take a hat.
Facts.
The hat's fantastic. I won't say it's not, and I can definitely find things to wear with it. So if you want to send it my way, I will gladly take. But proud Michigan.
We will be a pro Miami Hurricanes podcast as a whole.
Yes.
Like, I'm down for the cause.
Oh, absolutely. That hat is fuego.
We are easily bought with merch. And you guys can get your merch at phiapparel.co. Use code underground. 10% off any and all orders. Get your OTB merch. We want to see people rocking OTB shirts this summer on the PLL tour. Want to see that logo out there. Go get your merch. We're working on some new merch ideas as well, so stay tuned for those. But be sure to follow us on the socials at OTBLaxPod, Twitter and Instagram, where we're going to be doing some absolutely bonko stuff this weekend in Philly. Albany's right around the corner. We're going to be there as well. So if you're going to be in Albany, let us know. We'd love to link up with you. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever the heck you get your podcasts. We're there. Leave a 5-star review. Help this show continue to grow. Let's take this thing to the moon. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. We're on that road to 1K now. We hit 500 6 days before our actual goal. Let's get to 600 by the end of the weekend. Who says we can't do it? We're at 506 subscribers right now. Let's make it happen. YouTube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Let's get 94 more of you crazy lacrosse fans to come subscribe to the YouTube channel. OTB Cast, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the YouTube channel. Come hang out with us for the NLL Finals Game 1. Go get your merch. That's all we got for you. This has been episode number 276, a loaded championship edition of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, even though they won't give us credentials, and of course viewable on YouTube. Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. We'll see you in Philly. We'll see you in Albany. And until next week, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Peace.